On today's episode of the DuckZone503 Podcast, we're going to be discussing the latest addition to the Oregon football team, guys. Former Washington defensive back Jabbar Muhammad has committed to the Oregon Ducks, guys. Let's get it. Also, 2024 five-star wide receiver Gatlin Bear and 2025 four-star tight end Da'Saahn Brame are both trending to Oregon. So wrapping up the 2024 class for Dan Lanning, getting right on the 2025 class, getting that thing started. We're going to be talking about it all on the DuckZone503 Podcast. I'm your host, Dominiqk Peterson. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the DuckZone503 Podcast. Talking all things Oregon football. With your host, Dominiqk Peterson. Let's go.
Welcome into today's edition of the DuckZone503 Podcast. Welcome in, everybody. I am happy to be with you. Today is Sunday, January 28th, 2024, and I am happy to be with you guys. Let's get into it. Make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast. I know a lot of you right now are viewing on Instagram Live. I ask that you stay on Instagram Live, watch the full podcast right now, but when you're done, really helps me out if you guys can either go subscribe to YouTube or go ahead and if your thing is Spotify, go follow us on Spotify. Rate us 5 stars if you're listening to us on Spotify as well. If both are your thing, you really want to help out, go follow both. Really appreciate it's free to do that as well. Recruit interviews. I'm giving you guys recruit interviews, trying to get a bunch of recruits on as we speak. So far, we've had 2024 3-star running back Dejon Riggs talk about, his commitment to Oregon, his whole recruiting process. Then we had 2024 4-star Aaron Flowers on the channel as well, talk about his recruiting process, how he was a silent USC commit at one time and later flipped to Oregon. That was a crazy story that he told us on the podcast. So if you guys haven't seen those, I suggest you go see those after this podcast because we have some things to talk about. We got Jabbar Muhammad committing as a Duck, man. What a move for this secondary as Dan Lanning continues to revamp this defense each and every year. I talked about a lot on this podcast. The Ducks defense, pass defense, first year in Dan Lanning was dreadful. Number 110th in all of college football. This past year, definite improvement. Went up from 110 to number 55 in the country. Now what are we going to do with this secondary that we just brought in? A whole bunch of guys. We're going to talk about it. How big is this move with Jabbar Muhammad? And then 2024, you might think this class is over. For the most part, it is, but there's one guy still left on the board for Oregon, and that's going to be an Oregon-Michigan battle between 2024 5-star Gatlin Bear, who will still be on the board for Oregon to bring in even more talent, which is crazy. And then we're looking to 2025, right? Right after we're wrapping up 2024, we got to get on these 2025 guys quick because elite programs like Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, they're already building their 2025 classes. So it's time for Oregon to start looking towards that. We already do have some commitments. We already are building it. That's the great news. But we're looking at a tight end. Da'Saahn Brame has had a few crystal balls come in. Oregon is trending that way. We just had a crystal ball come in yesterday. Cooper Perry, 4-star wide receiver, number 1 player in Arizona. So we're going to talk about all this today. Please subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already and give me a thumbs up. All right, guys, let's get into it. Washington transfer defensive back Jabbar Muhammad commits to the Oregon Ducks over Alabama and Texas, man. I can't even believe I'm saying these words. A top defensive back in the portal committed to the Ducks over Alabama and Texas. And I told you guys on the podcast, I personally thought that Oregon was last in this whole commitment. I just didn't see. He's from Texas. His cousin plays at Texas, the Longhorns. And he has a chance to finish up his last year of college football at his hometown or even go play at Alabama with his former head coach. Now, from listening to other guys talk about this recruitment who's way closer in this recruitment than I am, they said that Alabama was definitely the last team in this whole recruitment. Oregon and Texas, it was a head-to-head in Oregon, Texas. This is what I was hearing. And my gut told me that because his cousin plays at Texas and, given Texas just went to a playoff, and they did lose to Washington, but I really thought that Texas would be the favorite here. And my oh my, and glad am I wrong, because man, he comes to Oregon where he sees what Dan Lanning is building here and come play at a place where you can possibly win a national championship. Oregon was 6 points away, guys, from playing in a playoff game against the national championship runner-up. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. And guys, for the people that are saying, for all the people that are saying, what happened to college football? Why are players transferring to rival schools? I completely agree with you. Look, if you would ask me 10 years ago, would I see a Washington player go to Oregon? Would I see Oregon players go to Washington? Heck no, man. This is crazy. This is crazy. But this is all good for college football, man. This is good for college football. For players, they want to go where they want to go. I do think there should be some rules on, if you transfer 1 year, should you be able to transfer the exact next year? I don't know about all that. I think there should be some rules on that. But other than this, man, I love Oregon and the transfer portal. Dan Lanning, I said this before on the podcast, the way he hits the recruiting trail, the way he balances out with the transfer portal, it's just a giant 1-2 punch with this recruiting staff. And man, he's building it on both sides of the ball. It is awesome. Muhammad, if you guys don't know, began his career at Oklahoma State before transferring to Washington last season. The Texas native recorded 118 tackles, 26 pass deflections, and 4 interceptions in 4 seasons. Not only that, guys, this guy can get sacks. I think he had two sacks last season. So this is a do-it-all guy, and this is someone in Dan Lanning's defense who sends a lot of exotic blitzes with his corners, a lot of boundary corner blitzes on the outside coming and getting pressured. This is a guy that can definitely do that. Standing 5'10", 183 pounds. He is a little smaller. He doesn't wow you with his size or pure athleticism. He's not the fastest defensive back out there, but man, oh man, does he play way bigger than he is listed. I mean, 5'10", 183. You wouldn't think that the way he plays on the field. This guy is physical. This guy, 26 pass breakups, man. I would say his best game, if you guys really want to go look at a highlight reel of his best game, got to be against Oregon State, man. It was a close game between the Beavs and Washington. It was a rainy game. And this dude, man, DJU was not doing nothing against him. Their wide receivers were not doing anything. Jabbar Muhammad was locking them up. Troy Franklin had a really good game against him. Okay, we're talking about a first, maybe second round draft pick. We'll see where Troy Franklin ends up. But we're talking about probably the best wide receiver in Oregon history. And in the Pac-12 championship, let me just go check this to make sure. 2023 Pac-12 championship game, because as I remember, I did not see Troy Franklin really do a thing. ESPN, let me get the ESPN one here, because in that second championship game, or the second game with Washington, man, it was tough for Troy Franklin. He was guarded by Jabbar Muhammad most of the time. And come on, computer. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get the stats up here. So for wide receiving, yeah, he wasn't even okay. I can't find it right now. But anyways, point being, man, Troy Franklin really had a tough time against Jabbar Muhammad in that Pac-12 championship game. Now, the first game he really went off, no doubt. Troy Franklin had a really good game, but dude, Jabbar Muhammad, we're talking about an all Big 12 player in 2022, a second team all Big 12 player in 2022, an all Pac-12 player in 2023. So Oregon's getting a star here, and a veteran experienced star. And that's one thing is, like, I always told Oregon fans, look, this is not a player that you exactly need, but this is a luxury piece, because we already have players like Cam Alexander, Brandon Johnson from Duke, Jaleel Florence looks to be promising. He just had surgery, so I don't know if he'll be back exactly day one. But man, I'm excited, man. Jabbar Muhammad is going to bring so much veteran leadership and experience to the secondary that we desperately need. And I really can't remember a secondary this deep, guys, for Ducks, man. This is going to be absolutely awesome. And then you got, I just mentioned Cam Alexander from UTSA. You got Jabbar Muhammad, Cam Alexander on each side. And then you got Jaleel Florence emerging to be a factor in this secondary. Duke transfer, Brandon Johnson looks to be your nickel there. You got a nickel corner there with Nico Reed, who was also a Colorado transfer last season, being your backup probably at nickel. Dante Manning is your highest defensive back ever to sign at Oregon. So just think about that for a second, right? So, and then you got young players that look very promising. Roderick Pleasant, Dalen Austin. Don't forget number 1 JUCO defensive back Sione Loilu. I mean, dude, this secondary is deep. Number 1 JUCO defensive back Sione Loilu. Number 3 defensive back Brandon Johnson. Number 1 defensive back Jabbar Muhammad. These are all guys coming in. And you've seen the jump from year one to year 2 with Dan Lanning on the secondary. And it has to do with up front too. It's the whole defense. The up front's got to get pressure, and that had a lot to do with the 2022 defense. We did not get a lot of pressure at all on quarterbacks, which gives up a bad passing defense. Number 110th in the country in year 1 of Dan Lanning. Then in year 2 of Dan Lanning, we go to number 55 in the country, which isn't good enough. Isn't good enough. It wasn't good enough to beat Washington twice, right? But if we can get into the top 20 defense this year, which I believe we can do with Jabbar Muhammad leading this secondary, I mean, this is going to be fun, dude. 2024 national championship run is coming. I'm telling you guys, because both sides of the ball, I genuinely think this is the deepest and most talented Oregon football team ever assembled in the history of the program. No doubt about it. From experience to depth to talent, it's all there for this Oregon football team. 2024 is Oregon's national championship run. And this is the funny thing. How mad are Washington fans going to be if Oregon actually does go out and win the national title? I mean, their odds are, last time I checked, are plus 1,200, plus 1,000 around there. I think they have the 5th or 6th best odds to win the national championship, according to some sports books out there. Guys, I'll tell you what, I'm going to see you guys April 27th. That's when Dan Lanning announced the spring game at last night's basketball game, and a tough loss to Arizona. But April 27th, the spring game, be there. I will be there on Saturday to watch this team, man. There's a lot of talent on the field. I'm going to be really interested in watching how the D linemen which D linemen are going to be stepping up from that freshman class. A lot of 2023 D linemen from Amari Washington, Michael Gardner, Johnny Bowens. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that I'm excited to see who's going to pop, because I'm going to be honest with you guys. These guys were all 4 stars coming out, close borderline 5 stars, some of them. So these guys are talented, and none of them transferred. So the defense up front looks to be promising. They also landed Jamari Caldwell, one of the better defensive linemen in the transfer portal coming out of Houston. Kind of plug-and-play guy for Brandon Dorlus, who's leaving. You retain so many guys on the defense. I mean, from Jeffrey Bassa, Jordan Birch coming back is huge. And now you got Jabbar Muhammad, Brandon Johnson, Cam Alexander in the secondary, Tyshim Johnson, Kobe Savage. I mean, woo! This is going to be fun, man. This is going to be fun. Let me just tell you guys, this is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait. Let's go ahead and check out some Jabbar Muhammad highlights for you guys, man. This is going to be awesome. Greg Larson says the transfer portal is out of control, but our Ducks has been a gold mine. Exactly. Well, this is the thing for the transfer portal. It can go either way for programs. You see how it's going for Washington, where you can lose a lot of guys, and you see it for the Ducks and Dan Lanning, where you can gain a lot of guys. I think what it comes down to, honestly, is your coaching staff. How is your coaching staff using the portal as a tool? How is it coming? What is it coming down to? Because you see Dan Lanning, he has been hitting and hitting and hitting. And now there's been a few guys that have came in here and, not really provided anything. A handful of guys, but for the most part, we're talking about a Johnny Cornelius. Christian Gonzalez was a big time first round draft pick, right? Bo Nix, Bucky Irving, Noah Whittington, Tez Johnson. I mean, these are all transfers that have been just absolute stars in the Dan Lanning era. So for Dan Lanning to use the portal the way he has and just hit and hit and hit, I mean, that's just all credit to Dan Lanning and his staff around him for scouting these guys out and hitting on these guys. Because it could be the other way around. We could be bringing guys in and these guys could not be playing. But they are. And that's how you make the roster better. Now, I do agree with you, Greg, that the transfer portal, man, it is a little out of control. We got guys transferring. They're going to like 4 or 5 different schools in their college career. And I don't think that's what college football is. It's not what it's supposed to be. So I do agree there should be some type of rules. But I do like having a transfer portal. I do like kids having the opportunity to bounce and go into new opportunities, because think if Bo Nix was stuck at Auburn and couldn't leave, right? It would have never been a Duck. So just a great example there. All right, guys, let's check this out. Jabbar Muhammad highlights. Man, Jabbar Muhammad is a Duck. Let's get into it, man. Here we go. Jabbar. So as much as I don't like watching Washington Husky highlights, guys, this guy is good, man. This guy was their best corner by far. By far was their best corner. I mean, look at the break on the ball. And like I said, there's gonna be a lot of Oregon State. Look at them look at the Beaver getting dragged on the ground, dude. But yeah, by far, look, there he is getting sacks too. Like I said, this is gonna be big for Dan Lanning. He's got 2 sacks last year. Dan Lanning loves to bring blitzes with the corners, man. Loves to bring blitzes. And this guy is just, man, does not allow pass. 26 pass breakups on the year, guys. Or not on the year, on his career. So this guy is going insane. Interceptions. Number 1 corner in the transfer portal. This guy was absolutely locked down. He makes tackles. Doesn't miss many tackles either. I mean, just an all-around corner. Pure and simple. Just an all-around corner. Look at the break on the ball, man. I mean, he was beat there, and his break is just quick. And like I said, he plays bigger than he is. Look, he's 5'10". He's only 5'10". But he's playing physical, man. I love that. Don't love that it's against the Ducks. But look, that's Troy Franklin, one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver at Oregon. Doesn't get flags. Knows how to go over the top. Great technique. I mean, this is somebody who's going to also not only come to Oregon this year and elevate the secondary room, but think about the young guys like Dalen Austin, Roderick Pleasant playing alongside him for this year. By the time they're ready to be starters and the Jabbar Muhammad's gone, oh man, dude, they're going to be so ready and primed and have so much experience around them that they're going to be one of the better defensive backs in college football by the time their time is up. Man, and like I said, doesn't miss many tackles. Very quick to break on the ball, man. Very quick. Very quick. Just some quick highlights there from Jabbar Muhammad, man. He has been killing it. Dan Lanning has been killing it in the transfer portal, man. Top 10 class in the transfer portal. Top 10 class in recruiting. And guess what, guys? Dan Lanning is not done yet. He ain't done. 5-star wide receiver and speedy track star as well. It's another pitch to come to Oregon. Gatlin Bear will be making his decision between Michigan and Oregon in the next few weeks here. He also jumped, I'm calling him 5-star because he jumped from a 4-star to a 5-star in the latest 247 Sports rankings. He's perfect size, guys. 6'2", 195 pounds. He's an Adidas All-American as well. So, this guy is very, very talented. I talked to Aaron Flowers actually in our interview that I talked about bringing recruits in. And he talked about in the Adidas All-American game how Gatlin Bear was one of the best wide receivers he guarded in that game. And Aaron Flowers is a borderline 5-star safety. So this is going to be interesting. It looks like it's going to come down to Michigan and Oregon. And I got bad news for some of you Michigan fans out there, because on Wednesday, guess what? Jim Harbaugh opted to leave Ann Arbor and make his return to the NFL as a new head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. So here's the thing. As much as bad news as that is for Michigan, Michigan also promoted their offensive coordinator, Sharon Moore, from within. So that could possibly be enough for Michigan to lock up Bear late here, because having a familiar face around who's recruited you there the whole time, and now he's the guy, there's not really that much change at Michigan going on for Gatlin Bear, right? And he's closer to home there. He can stay there. But here's the thing. Let's not forget that Oregon head coach Dan Lanning also is locked in for the long term here at Oregon as well. He turned the Alabama job down. So, for a fact, whatever job opens up around the country, this is not just for Gatlin Bear, but for any recruit in the country, for a fact that Dan Lanning isn't going anywhere. You know that. You know that for a fact, because you're turning down possibly the best job in college football. Alabama, you got every resource. You can get paid way more than anybody else in the country. I mean, and he decided to stay at Oregon where he thinks he can win a national championship. And I don't blame him. Oregon's been very, very close. This is a place, and Oregon's got resources. You know what I'm saying? So let's not act like this ain't a place where you can win. And Dan Lanning being locked in for the long term. You got your offense coordinator, Will Stein, sticking around. I really think that Gatlin Bear, this could be a place that he could end up. Junior Adams, let's not forget, this is a dog wide receiver coach right now. Junior Adams. Guys, Romo Doomsday, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk over there at Washington. Guess who recruited those guys over at Washington? Was it Kalen DeBoer? Did Kalen DeBoer? No. Junior Adams recruited those guys over at Washington and developed them before coming to Oregon. He also developed and recruited Troy Franklin to Oregon. Possibly the best wide receiver in Oregon history. So you have Junior Adams, one of the best wide receiver coaches in the country here at Oregon. You got Dan Lanning locked in for the long term. You're a track star, right? You want to do track? Oregon's track program is the best in the country. The best. I'll say it right now. So we're the Alabama of track, pretty much. So I really think things are trending towards Oregon's way for Gatlin Bear. I would really love to add to this 2024 class. I think right now, I think On3's got us at number 3 in the country for their 2024 class. So here, let me fact check that real quick. On3 2024 team recruiting rankings. Let me do a fact check. Yep. Oregon's at number 3 in the country, guys. Number 1 school in the Big Ten right now. Let's check it out. I'll show you guys. Let me share my screen. Look at this, guys. So Oregon is number 3 in the country right now in 2024. And Gatlin Bear is a 5-star according to 247 Sports. I think he's still a 4-star at Oregon. Or I think he's still a 4-star on 247 or on 3. He's still a 4-star. 247 Sports got him as a 5-star. Also, 247 or On3's got Aiden Breland as a 4-star. That's why he's not appearing. And Elijah Rushing as a 4-star. I don't know why they dropped these guys, but yeah, they got him at number 3 in the country without a doubt. Best class in the Big Ten, right? Ohio State right behind him. Now, I guarantee if you add transfers in, Ohio State would have a little better class than Oregon if you add their transfers because Ohio State has a really good transfer portal class too. That Ohio State-Oregon matchup on October 12th is going to be bring your popcorn. That is going to be absolutely probably a rematch of the Big Ten championship is going to be had after that game. That's going to be absolutely huge. But yeah, Oregon has the number 3 class. If Oregon was to land 5-star Gatlin Bear, I don't know if that would elevate them over Alabama. I mean, you look at the points here; they're a full 2 points ahead of Oregon. But still, that would really solidify things ahead of Ohio State if Oregon was to land a 5-star in the last second here. If you guys want to check out, let's go check out some Gatlin Bear highlights real quick because this guy is so fast, man. Let me tell you, dude. So here's some Gatlin Bear highlights here coming out of Idaho. He's the best recruit in Idaho. Look at that jump ball. Not only is he fast though, he stands 6 foot. Get out of my way, Ad. 6'1", 194 pounds with this kind of speed. I mean, obviously, this is why he's a 5-star Adidas All-American guy. Nobody can catch him in the open field. He's making jump catches over guys, has really good hands, really good, strong hands. The only thing I got to say is he plays in Idaho. Idaho doesn't have the strongest competition. So I'm wondering how he does against, 5-star, other 4-star competition. In the Adidas All-American Bowl, he killed it, right? So I was wondering the whole time, okay, he's really good. He's getting good reports, got good film, but again, he's playing against Idaho high school competition, which no disrespect to them. It's just they're not some of the top competition you can go against in the country. But in the Adidas All-American game, man, this guy killed it against those other 4 or 5-star kids. No doubt about it. So this guy can play. His route running is precise. He's got strong hands, and he's a track athlete. So nobody's catching him. Nobody's catching him. 6'1", 194 pounds. Great size. Love what I'm seeing for Gatlin Bear there. So let's go here. Let's share his 247 sports profile here. And here's another thing that I got to share with you guys for Gatlin Bear that's important to note, that he's going to be taking a mission out of high school. So if he does end up committing to the Ducks in this 2024 class, unfortunately, we will not be seeing him as a freshman. His freshman year as a Duck will not be till 2026 because missionary, I believe he's a missionary, and he wants to take a mission out of faith, which I respect, which is, some guys end up doing that, and that's what they want to do. Good news is it doesn't count against him as far as scholarship years go. So he'll be a freshman in 2026 and can stay till 2030, which will be awesome. Gatlin Bear, 5-star wide receiver, man, trending towards Oregon. I do believe there's multiple reports out there that you guys can read that show that he's trending towards Oregon as well. So that will pretty much wrap it up. If Dan Lanning gets Gatlin Bear a 5-star at the last second, Oregon's going to have a top 3 class in the country, no doubt about it. And they also will have one of the best transfer portal classes. And 2024 is looking very, very bright. But you look what Dan Lanning's building. It's not just for next year. They got Dante Moore. Okay, we got Dylan Gabriel for this year as our starter. But guess what? You look at the 247 Sport transfer portal rankings. They got Dylan Gabriel as the number 5 portal quarterback, and Dante Moore is the number 3 portal quarterback. They got him ahead of Dylan Gabriel. Can you believe that? And the reason for that is because they believe that Dante Moore's potential is higher than Dylan Gabriel's. Look, Dylan Gabriel ain't going to get any better. He's showing you what he can do. Okay? He's maxed out as far as potential goes, but he's a really damn good quarterback. He's better than Dante Moore, in my opinion. No doubt about it. He's going to start over Dante Moore. But Dante Moore has a lot of potential, and just sit behind Dylan Gabriel and learn behind a veteran experienced quarterback like that and learn the system. By the time he's in year 2 of the Will Stein, Dan Lanning system, he's going to be ready to go. So I'm very excited. 2024, 2025, you got Akili Smith Jr. as a freshman coming in, probably going to be behind Dante Moore. And then you're looking at 2026, 2027 for Akili Smith Jr. possibly coming in. I mean, dude, the next 4 years offensively, as long as Will Stein stays at Oregon, that's going to be a huge piece, because the way he's recruiting, the way his offense is ran, it's very attractive for a lot of players. And that's why you're seeing guys like Evan Stewart, number 1 wide receiver transfer portal player in the country, come over at Oregon and want to play here, is because the style of offense we have. You know, you see guys like Dylan Gabriel, Dante Moore, why they want to come here. See what Bo Nix, the numbers he's putting up, over 4,000 passing yards, 40 touchdowns. I mean, come on. You got to have a system that can let you do that. I mean, this was the frustration with Oregon fans when Justin Herbert was around, is we didn't have a system for Justin Herbert to flourish. We're putting him in a run-first offense. It's like, dude, we got a top NFL quarterback. What are we doing, right? Doing up the middle handoffs. That was the frustration. But now it's totally different under Dan Lanning. Totally different under Will Stein. I mean, even under Kenny Dillingham, what he was doing, he had this thing flourishing. But Will Stein has really stepped this thing up, man. I'm excited offensively, but defensively as well now. Because now, not only do you have a defensive front that you're really excited about, but your secondary was the position in need that you desperately needed. And you land a guy like Jabbar Muhammad, Duke's Brandon Johnson, UTSA's Cameron Alexander, Kansas State's Kobe Savage. Then you bring back Tyson Johnson, who was one of our best safeties last season. Jaleel Florence will be back from his injury, ready to go. Young, promising players, Dalen Austin, Roderick Pleasant. I mean, man, the list. Sion Leali was the number 1 JUCO defensive back. I mean, this secondary, as far as the Big Ten, and probably in the country, to be real with you, is probably the deepest and most talented we've had ever at Oregon. And it's probably the best, one of the best in the country. And if some of these young guys can pop, like Johnny Bowens, Mykeel Gardner, Amari Washington, some of these guys that are going to be needing to step up defensively up front. And then you bring back Jordan Birch, right? You got Jeffrey Bossa in the middle. I mean, this defense, man, it is going to be fun. This Oregon football team is going to be serious. It's going to be serious. Now you ask yourself, okay, 2024 looking to be over. You know, there's going to be another transfer portal window where guys are going to have to leave. I'm letting you guys know now, Oregon is way over the scholarship limit. They need to get down to 85. I believe they're over 90 plus right now. So expect 8 to 10 to 12, I would say, transfer when that window opens back up, transfers out of Oregon. Because what happens when you bring guys in, you can't keep everybody around. So guys that haven't played that much, unfortunately, this is the way of college football. It wasn't like this before. Guys ain't coming to get an education and just play some football anymore and have some fun. This is a business now. And if you ain't good enough, you got to go to a D3 school. That's what it is. It's unfortunate. But Oregon's building the roster. This is how you get better. And if you want to win a championship, this is how you do it. It's the way it is. That's why some coaches don't do it. That's why some coaches don't do the transfer portal, because they know they're screwing a kid when they bring another kid in that's better than them. But that's the business, right? Okay, so 2025. Oregon's got to look for 2025 right now. Let's go look at where they're at. 247 Sports 2025 team rankings. Recruit football team. So right now in 2025, Oregon has number 13 class in the country. They only have 4 commits right now, which, guys, it's way early. Don't freak out. They're not going to finish number 13. Notre Dame has the number 1 class in the country. Auburn is at number 4 in the country, in 2025. So don't freak out. Right now, Oregon has 4 players, and they're all really good. 4-star, which I bet he was going to be a 5-star. He's ranked as the 53rd best player in the country. Dallas Wilson, wide receiver. Keely Smith Jr., 4-star, probably going to be a 5-star. We'll see. 7th best quarterback in the country, Keely Smith Jr. Adrian Wilson is another wide receiver, so you got a pair of highly ranked 4-stars, number 14th in the country. And then you got an interior offensive lineman, Travis Thompson, coming all the way out of Melbourne, Florida. 3-star kid, but man, he committed way early, May 26, 2023. So, man, big time class building up so far. You got a top 15 class so far, and it looks like things are really, really trending fast for Oregon with 2025 tight end Da'Saahn Brame. Da'Saahn Brame visited Oregon this past weekend. He's a 4-star, 6'6", 235-pound tight end. He was also visited by tight end coach Drew Mehringer, and Dan Lanning was paired with him at his local high school the week before his visit. So you got him on campus this last week. You also got the coaches going out to his local high school. So you can obviously see that this is a major, major target for Oregon. You can see why with Patrick Herbert, and Terrence Ferguson. These guys are going to be gone next season. So you're going to have 2 guys and a big need at tight end, and we're going to have to build this through recruiting or the transfer portal. You can obviously reach through there, but to build through recruiting is the ideal thing that you want to do. Fong Bomb, baby. Fong Bomb was dropped this last weekend from Steve Wiltfong of 247 Sports, which pretty much indicates Oregon is the heavy favorite to land Da'Saahn Brame at this point. Wiltfong has a 90% plus. It's around 94, 93%, I'm sure. Accuracy rating with his crystal balls, if you guys don't know. So he's the guy that put out the crystal balls, tells you where the recruits are going to go, where he thinks they're going to go, right? Off his intel. And this guy has put probably over 1,000 crystal balls throughout his career, and he has over 90% accuracy rating. So Chad Simons on the other side, you go look at On3 Sports, the leader, basically Steve Wiltfong of On3 over there has also logged his crystal ball for the Ducks with Da'Saahn Brame. So to land a 4-star, 6'6", 235-pound tight end is awesome. That would be excellent for the Ducks because it's definitely a position of need. Ducks are attacking this early in the 2025 cycle so they can get this over with because this is a definitely position of need. And what a way to go for Drew Mehringer, because I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Drew Mehringer, all the assistant coaches, I'm gonna give him some heat here. I don't think he's been the best assistant coach out of all the coaches. You look at all the assistant coaches, Drew Mehringer, who has he really brought in at tight end that he's developed and coached? I mean, I think Terrence Ferguson was a Mario Cristobal guy. Same with Patrick Herbert. Kenyon Sadiq is a damn good athlete, but I thought he would play a lot more than he did this last season. He is a little undersized, so maybe this next year he'll bulk up and we'll see more of Kenyon Sadiq. But I need to see more from Drew Mehringer. And to land Da'Saahn Brame, hey, that shows me something a little bit. Now he's going to have to do the next step and develop now, because tight end is very important in Oregon's Will Stein's offense. So 2 crystal balls. You got Steve Wilfong, Chad Simmons, bringing it, logging in for the Ducks for Da'Saahn Brame to come to Oregon. And I'm excited. You also got, not only Kenyon Sadiq there, but Roger Salapega is a 2024 recruit. AJ Pugliano, those 2 are going to be freshmen. Kenyon Sadiq's your sophomore. And those are the 3 they're going to be relying on moving forward after this season. And then you're going to have to bring in some more freshmen in the 2025 class, right? So this is going to be fun. Da'Saahn Brame is the number 5th tight end in the country, according to 247 Sports, number 3rd player in Kansas, and 134th player nationally. Let's go ahead and check out some of his film. I actually haven't seen any of his film yet, so this is going to be cool. I can imagine at 6'6", 235 pounds, he might be laying some guys out with some blocks. Might be making some nice catches. I'm interested to see how good he is at route running and catching, because he's pretty big. So let's go ahead and see. 942 yards, 42 receptions, 13 touchdowns. That's pretty good. They got him out on the outside. This is your new type of tight end. You would think at 6'6", 235, this guy, can't really run routes like that. But look, this is your new style tight end. And look at him, man. He's going out there, man, making jump catches. I like what I see. Now he's gonna definitely have to bulk up a little bit. Definitely gonna have to get a little bit bigger, bulk up. But man, this guy can move for 6'6", dude. Look, get off me. I would not want to tackle him. Out there in Kansas. That's another thing, though, is Kansas doesn't have the strongest competition of high school football. I do got to say that. So when you're seeing him dominate like this, you got to take that into advantage. I would love to see him go against 4 or 5-star kids. I'm sure he'll be Adidas All-American. We'll probably get our opportunity to see how he does against some real competition, because Kansas, no disrespect, again, it's a very small state, so not the best competition out there. Look at the snow, man, out there in the snow. They got him doing some Brock Bowers type plays, jet sweeps. I like it. See, if you got him and Kenyon Sadiq as a pair of tight ends, whew. Then you got AJ Pugliano, and who was the other guy? Roger Salapega. I mean, yeah, I see what Drew Maringer is trying to go after, man. He's trying to go after the bigger, more athletic tight ends that could run, dude. Look at him get upfield real quick, man. At 6'6", to see you guys get upfield that quick is really good. His route running is not the best. I'll say that. Like, if you had an elite defensive back on him, I don't think he would get away from him very easily. And that just comes with more college experience. Great route right there to get away from the defensive back there last second. But he is kind of slow with the burst off the line, but he's 6'6", dude. Like, for a 6'6" guy, he's really fast. But man, yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see how he does against 4 or 5-star kids, because I don't think there's a lot of them out there in Kansas. There is 2, according to 247 Sports, 2 guys better than him. So that's gonna be interesting to watch. Also, Tom Loy of 247 Sports has 2025 4-star wide receiver Cooper Perry to Oregon. Perry is a 6'1", 185-pound wide receiver. He's listed as the number 28th wide receiver in the 2025 class. Best player in Arizona, listed as the best player in Arizona. So if Oregon is able to lock up one of the best player in Arizona, they can use that as a recruiting pitch to other recruits in Arizona as well. Like, hey, man, you want to go play with the best kid in your state over here in college? Come with us. That's obviously a great recruiting pitch for Dan Lanning if you're able to lock him up early. Cooper Perry's been on campus a lot. Arizona has been always a great pipeline for Oregon, and as far as high school recruits go, Kyler Caspers came from there. Cole Martin, before he transferred, came from there. So Arizona is obviously a great hotbed for Oregon to grab some guys. Number 28 wide receiver in the 2025 class, number 233rd nationally. Let's go ahead and check out Cooper Perry's highlights here, as there's a crystal ball logged in from Tom Loy from 247 Sports. Tom Loy runs the Notre Dame website for 247 Sports. So I'm not 100% sure I can trust Tom Loy here on this, but given that Cooper Perry has visited Oregon a lot, it does seem very well that Oregon could be the favorite here. Let's go ahead and check out the number 1 wide receiver in Arizona, Cooper Perry. Looks like he's got some wheels, some shiftiness. Doesn't go down there. Wow, look at that. Is he going to get in? Yeah, look at that, dude. Got to the end zone. What a play. What a play. Here he is here. This guy is not going to get away, is he? This guy can make some plays, man. This dude can make some plays. I see Cooper Perry. I'll tell you right now, he's got great vision, great burst, really good, really, man, he's faster than anybody on the field right now. I'll tell you that. Bam. Nice catch. Nice catch. So like I said, Tom Loy of 247 Sports got a crystal ball in for the Ducks. So tight end, 4-star tight end, 4-star wide receiver. We already have 2 wide receivers in this class, in the 2025 class. You obviously can see guys decommit later in the class. We've seen that in this last class for Oregon. Jeremiah McClellan was a late addition. He was committed to Ohio State and then decommitted and came to Oregon. So we can see that if Oregon gets a bunch of wide receivers, we can see certain guys decommit. But, man, we'll take it. Best wide receiver in Arizona, I'll take it. That's awesome. So, as you can see, guys, Oregon is getting things going. They are getting things going fast. 2024 class is a top 3 class right now. Transfer portal class, top 10. It's going to be a special, special year, this class. And Oregon is building not only for this year, but for the future. As Dan Lanning turned down the Alabama job and is building for 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027, all the way to 2028. They're offering, guys. If you guys follow us on Twitter, on social media, at DuckZone503, I keep you guys updated on every offer. Every offer. And they're reaching into the 2028 class. If that doesn't tell you how locked in these coaches are, man, it's going to be so fun. I keep repeating myself, man. I cannot wait for this next year. All right, guys. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast. I give you guys weekly podcasts on all things Oregon football, recruit interviews with the players that Oregon is targeting. Like I said, we got Aaron Flowers on the podcast, Dejon Riggs. I'm going to continue to keep trying to get guys here on the podcast to tell their story, how the recruiting process went down, and what their goals are as an Oregon Duck. So make sure you guys stay on the lookout for that. Give you guys all the latest updates on social media at DuckZone503, at DuckZone503.pod for TikTok. Make sure you guys go follow us on there. Appreciate everybody who does. Rate us on Spotify 5 stars if you haven't already. I will see you guys on the next podcast. As always, guys, go Ducks.